Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Welcome back to AmpUp88.com, where you come to amp up before the race every week. We're happy to have you back for another chat. Just a reminder before we get started, AmpUp88.com is where you come, and there's some really cool things going on, like Dale Jr. has an autographed item that he gives away every single day to you guys on there, so that's cool. There's the Off the Track video series. This week it's engineer Chris Heroy, and he's talking about Pocono, everything that goes into that. And then TJ Majors, the spotter, he has his Twitter feed on there, and you guys can check that out, follow along with him and the new baby and all that. Just a reminder, next week it's going to be August 4th, 12:30 p.m. Right here will be Steve Crisp. He's the director of the Hendrick Performance Group, and he has some longtime ties to the whole Earnhardt family, so he goes really far back with Dale Sr. even, and you'll be able to ask him some good questions. He'll have some good stories about that. But right now, the moment we've all been waiting for is the 88 team catch cam man, Jason Dalrymple. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. Right now, we got Junior Nation asking some questions, and they're just funneling them in.
Right.
And first one I want to ask is, could you just tell us how you, T. Burglar is wondering how you got your start in racing. Like, how did you, take us through the whole background, and how did you get here?
Okay. I had a pretty unique situation, and that I grew up right down the road from Hendrick's shop. And when I was a teenager, did some part-time work for the shop down here, mowing the grass, mopping floors, sweeping, basically just odd jobs that they would give me. And I got to know some of the guys. Went on, finished school, went to school a couple years, worked some 5 or 6 really bad jobs. And had an opportunity to come back here in an entry-level position, selling parts and buying parts, and it was a no-brainer for me. So here I am 12 years later.
Wow. So when you say you grew up down the road, I mean, how close are we talking?
I mean, within a quarter of a mile. I
Wow.
mean, when you get up to the top of the hill, that's my family's little compound, if you will.
Wow.
So.
That's pretty crazy. So you've seen the whole complex to what it is today.
Oh yeah.
Come up.
It's amazing the difference in 20 years ago and today. I mean, the road wasn't paved. It was one building, and now I don't even know how many buildings we have. Probably 10, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just a huge change.
Wow. So you started your career with this team. Huck 101 was asking what team you started your career with. Can you take us through your at Hendrick, once you got here, through those 12 years, how did you come up the ladder and everything?
Well, the first couple of years, like I said, I worked in the parts department. And back when the 24 team, the original Rainbow Warrior team, they left as a group. And I think Hendrick tried to establish most of the pit crew guys being from in-house. And they had like a little pit crew drive. They were like trying to get people to come out and train and learn how to do stuff. And that's how I started on pit crew. I mean, I did a lot of ARCA races, Hooters Cup races, and truck races. The first team I got a chance with was a 5 team, and that was with Terry Labonte. And I was with Terry 3 years behind the wall, just kind of as a support deal, handing in the gas can. And I mean, you do whatever you can do just to get close and try to work your way in that way, and that's what I did. And when Alan Gustafson took over the 5, he offered me a shot to catch gas for him and Kyle Busch, and I jumped at that. And when Dale Jr. came 3 years ago, they moved me over to the 88, and so wherever they want to put me is fine with me, as long as I got a deal, I'm happy.
That's cool. So being that you've been around here all your life, and have you been a race fan all your life? Because Shaft Dog is wanting to know, what was the first race you ever attended, and how old were you?
Yeah, I've been a race fan forever. I think the first race, I know the first race I went to, I was 3. My mom and dad took me to, and it was Daytona. I'm not sure if it was the 500 or the Firecracker. That used to be called the Firecracker 400 in July. So I'm not sure which one it was, but I think I was 3 years old.
Wow. So like literally your whole life?
Yeah. I've loved it. I love sports, but racing is I mean, it's my life.
Did you have a favorite driver growing up or anything?
Yeah, I had a few. I mean, I pulled for David Pearson when he was running, and you know, he kind of quit, and I pulled for Bobby Allison, and I switched over to Rusty Wallace before I came here, and you know, obviously when I came here, my allegiances changed.
Yeah. So let's talk about your job. People have some questions about that.
All right.
Sun VGG is asking, why do you shake the gas can up and down right before the car leaves? You got one hand in and one hand going like this, right?
Right. Yeah. It's you're doing that to signal to the jack man that the car's full. Basically, we've got the overflow coming out of the car, and you've got a catch can sticking in the overflow. Well, I've got a little window in top of the catch can, and the gas is colored. It's blue, so you can see it when it's coming out of the overflow. We don't want to let the car, we don't want to drop the jack if it's not full, because then you know, we got major problems. So when I start shaking that can, it means the car's full. The jack man will drop the jack.
So this might be an ignorant question, but I don't really know the answer to it. How full does the catch can get itself? I mean, when the pit stop is finished, I mean, is the catch can that you have completely full, or just gets a little bit, or?
It just varies. If we don't need but 11 gallons, you know, we'll pack it, and you know, it might be half full. Every catch can's different. Also, it's just whatever that guy prefers. I've got a can I've been using since you know, Kyle Busch days, but a guy can design any kind of can he wants.
Oh.
You know, it can. You know, one guy's might hold a gallon. I think mine holds around 2.5 to 3 gallons. Just depends, but preferably you want about a quarter of it full, because you know it's good and full. And you know, if you look at it and you've got that much in there, you kind of worry. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do, is run the car out of gas.
So it's not like some standard kind of catch can that you buy. It's something that's designed or to your preference.
Right, and everybody's, you know, is a little different. I mean, I know mine's different from some of the other teams here. Now, the actual dump can, the big gas can, is mandated. There's templates for that, you know, just to ensure that you know, we can't get any more gas in there than another team can to give us an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
But the catch can, yeah, it's pretty much a whatever you want to build.
Dale Jr. Fan 50 wants to know, if have you ever been injured while you've been on a pit crew, and if so, what was your worst injury?
I've been injured once, and it was at Loudon a long time ago. Our gas man now hurt his back, and I was a backup gas man, and I went to fill in for him, and I basically spilled some gas on me.
Wow.
And that stuff, it used to be really bad, and I suffered some like second-degree burns, like chemical burns.
Wow.
And that's been, as far as I know, the only time I've been hurt. And you get hit with lug nuts every once in a while, which is painful, but it's no big deal. But so yeah, I've been pretty fortunate.
What does it feel like when you get hit with a lug nut? I mean, is that kind of like a paintball type feeling, or?
Yeah, worse.
Worse, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get hit a lot. I learned when they drop the jack to get out of the way, but basically if they drop the jack and the rear tires are on a lug nut and he, you know, takes off, it'll spin it. I mean, I've seen some like behind the wall, like from other teams pitting, that comes by, you know, shoulder level or head level. I mean, it's like a flying bullet almost.
Wow.
So it'll definitely bruise you pretty good.
Yeah. Let's see. DRL De Boer wants to know, which track do you think has the most treacherous pits? Is there one over another that is just really difficult for you guys?
Yeah, from a catch can standpoint, it's probably a toss-up between Bristol and Martinsville. Just the short tracks, because the pits are, and from really the whole pit crew standpoint, because if you get a car behind you and a car in front of you, it's just real tight. You know, things are close in there. Dover's another one. Those three would probably be your worst on pit road. And yeah, I love the racing at those tracks, but those are ones I kind of concern myself with.
Yeah.
What driver's behind me and what driver's in front of us, stuff like that.
Yeah. Beck beat 555. She sees how tall you are. How tall are you?
I'm 6'7".
6'7".
Yeah.
She's wondering what kind of athletic background do you have, and did you play sports at any level?
I pretty much got no athletic background. I love sports. Believe it or not, when I was in high school, I was around the same height, but I was probably 80 pounds less than I am now. I was never fast. And that's the cool thing about the sport. It gave me an opportunity to be on a team, to be in a team sport, and catching gas definitely in the most skilled position on the pit crew. But it gave me a role, and it's been my way in and my little niche. And but I do love sports, but I don't have much of a background in it.
Jeb21 is saying about the overall sport, if you could change one thing about NASCAR, what would it be?
That's a good question and a tough one. Man, I think they're going in the right direction with the car. The COT car, when you looked at it compared to the old cars, it just didn't look that cool, but I think we're heading in the right direction. I mean, they changed the spoiler. They're going to change the nose next year, and I think just the look of the car is my biggest thing right now. I mean, because they just didn't look the way they did, 5 or 6 years ago. So
yeah.
I would say the car, the design of the car, and like I said, they're working on that, and I think we're moving in the right direction on that.
Yeah. Now, from my understanding, the '88 Cup team pitted the 3 car at Daytona. Were you involved with that?
Yeah, the AMP guys did that, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like one of those wins that was, so cool because of the history of the number, the history of the name at Daytona. And when they told us we were going to do it, I was like pumped up. I was like, that's going to be awesome. But I think Dale Jr. said something like, if we would have went down there and not won, it would just been such a buzzkill. But we won, and that's one that you never forget. They can't take from you. It's just like a little part of history, and you were a part of it. And that was a cool one.
Yeah. ERV Mary brought that up, and we appreciate you bringing that up. What will you remember about that night? I just remember. From my perspective, I was on pit road and just hearing the crowd, just how loud they were. What sticks out to you?
Well, the crowd definitely. I mean, it takes a lot to hear the crowd over the cars, and we could hear it. But I guess the first part of the race, I was so scared because I didn't think. I mean, we were running around around 10th or 11th, and I was like, I just felt like, man, we got to win tonight. And so I was worried. I was worried, we're not going to get up there. But when we got up there, when he got up there, he showed why he's so good on plate races. I mean, he's really a lot like his dad when it comes to plate races, man. He can have a car that's not as good as some people and put it up front. So that's probably what I remember the most.
Yeah. Dale Jr. Fan 50 is wondering, what is your fondest overall racing memory? Do you have a favorite one?
Well, that one has been the most recent, so that sticks out in my head. I've been a part of some cool wins. I'd love to have some more, obviously, with Dale Jr. I was with.
So would they.
Yeah, I know they do. Trust me, with him, and we want to give it to you. I was with Terry Labonte for his last win at Southern 500. That was awesome, and I was with Kyle for his first, and Junior for his first at Hendrick. So, that's a tough one, man. Just being that it just happened, I'd have to say the 3 car at Daytona.
Yeah. Well, right now, guys, we're already about halfway through. Can you believe that? It's going kind of fast. Yeah. This is Jason Dalrymple. He's the catch cam man for the 88 team. You're on ampup88.com, where you come to amp up for the race every week. And I don't know if you know this, but last week Marshall Carlson was right here, and he got kind of a big promotion to president this week. So Jason could be in for a big promotion after this.
Well, I hope so. That'd be awesome. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Let's see. Dale Jr. Fan 50 again is asking, is the physical training that you guys do, that you do personally, is it more cardio or weight training that you have to do for your job?
It's a combination. I mean, a lot of what we do is we do some stuff outside they call heat training. Just, I mean, because when you put that fire suit on, and especially during the summer, it's...
Yeah, like last week.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's pretty hot, so they just try to acclimate you to the weather. I mean, we lift, we do cardio, and we pit practice 3 to 4 times a week. So yeah, you can't get too out of shape. I mean, like I said earlier, for me, catching gas, the main thing is you just gotta, your upper body, you kind of gotta, as far as holding the first can and the second can, you need to kind of maintain that and be fairly strong up there. But yeah, I don't run around the car like a jackman does, so I don't do as much cardio as, say, one of those guys do.
Yeah. Mary Allworth wants to know, how often do the drivers actually participate in the pit practices? Is that kind of a rare thing, or?
Right now, yeah. I mean, you got to remember that Dale Jr. and these Cup guys, I mean, they've been coming down pit road for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Basically, the pit practice is more for our benefit than theirs. I mean, they're professionals at getting in and off pit road, but they do. A lot of times, if we're trying something different, and we want the full effect of the driver coming in the pits. Our driver, I mean, he has come to pit practice and drove the car. So yeah, I mean, every once in a while they'll do that.
ERV Mary is asking, besides catch cam, what is your job during the week? What do you do during the week?
I put the bodies, we call it hang bodies. I hang the bodies on the 5 car for at least 40 hours a week during the week.
Wow. And
that's just putting the sheet metal, from everything from the hood to the roof, deck lid, fenders, sides. When we get the car, it's a rolling chassis, and we hang the body on it.
Okay. Let's see. Watkins Glen is coming up here in about a week after next.
Right.
Sun VGG is wondering, is that easy for you with pitting the car on the opposite side, or is that kind of a challenge?
It's different. I'm not I don't really like it. We're practicing for it right now, but everything's backwards, and I mean, you do what I do so many times a year, and I mean, my basic movement is this. I mean, grabbing like that, and then it just feels awkward to do it the other way. But it's weird. You'll practice and practice and practice for that race, and you'll go do the race, and you'll get used to it. And then it's kind of weird going back to the way you've been doing it for the other 37 or 8 races of the year. So it's definitely different. It's a challenge, and it's one of those deals where we know we're not going to be as fast as a normal pit stop. It's just with it being backwards. So
let's see. There's a lot of good questions coming in here. Mountaineer Mama is wondering, what do you do in the off season?
Well, I work in the shop. Our busiest time of the year, as far as the fab shop, is in the off season, because we're constantly maintaining the fleet, rebuilding cars. I mean, here at Hendrick, we have the luxury of having the resources and the sponsors that we can constantly tweak on our cars. And I mean, if we think we can cut a car apart and make it better, we'll do it. And I mean, with the COT, when it came in, I was worried, just from my standpoint, that we might work ourselves out of a job. Will we have? But we're not. I mean, we've got plenty of work to do. So yeah, I hang bodies during the off season, and we pit practice all year.
Wow, all year, really?
All year long, yeah.
Just to keep maintaining the routine or the feel of it, or?
Well, it's that, and they constantly look at pit crew positions. I mean, at the end of the year, they reevaluate everybody. You're pretty much signed to like a 1-year deal, and you know, you got job security, but if another guy that's a backup comes out and competes, you know, he could win a job. So it's like almost a tryout phase of the year that we go through. It's something you just get used to. But
wow.
you gotta win your job pretty much every year.
Let's see. Dale Jr. Fan 50 is wanting to know, hydration is obviously important during the races. What is your drink of choice? I imagine you drink some AMP sometimes, and it's all around all the time.
Right before the race, me and our jack man, Mark Jacobs, we get amped up. I mean, it's he's a pretty high-strung guy, and he's like, should we do it now? Should we do it now? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So right after the anthem, I've been known to drink 2 or 3, right? Like
really?
Right in a row.
Just right there?
Yeah, because it's just that part of the race is the most exciting part to me, because, you know, the anthem, the flyover, the whole atmosphere, and it's easy just to want to get amped up.
Yeah.
And of course, we drink a lot of water and, you know, Pepsi products, but yeah, as far as getting jacked up, I like to drink the amp for sure.
So even after all these years doing it, because I mean, you know, Indy last week was one to me, sitting there at pit road, and the fans are on both sides and the flyover, and you just kind of get pumped. I mean, do you still? It hasn't worn off for you, I guess, that feeling of like, oh, this is awesome.
Not for me. I don't think for our group of guys either. I mean, we've got AMP, and you know, when you got sponsors like AMP and the National Guard, I mean, to me, you should be jacked up. I mean, you should be pretty pumped up to go out and do your job. And I know our pit crew, from our pit crew standpoint, I think everybody gets fired up. I know they do, because it's just another opportunity to run well and do a good job.
DEJ Fan 88 is asking, what is the biggest perk of working at Hendrick?
There's a lot. You know, when you just start at the top with Mr. Hendrick, there's not many people that's in his position that cares about people like he does. And unfortunately, I know that from a personal standpoint. I mean, he's just a great guy. He cares about his employees, and he's put people in place on down the line that are the same. There's a lot of perks. I would just have to say the people that I work with. I'm just so fortunate to have met the people that I've met. I've made lifelong friends here. If for some reason they told me, you know, we don't need any more, God forbid, I know I've got so many friends and you know, people that I think the world of. And I mean, you got perks, other perks, you know, smaller perks. I mean, you know, you get all the amp you want. I mean, that's awesome. You take that home with you and drink that, and just it's a cool job with a great company.
Yeah.
So I could sit here and talk about perks all day. I mean,
cool. Let's see. Mike Dill is asking, do you address the track bar while holding the catch can?
Yes. The catch can job's kind of evolved because of some rule changes in NASCAR. So you'll see catch can men now make most of the adjustments. The track bar, the right side wedge, and the left side wedge. So yes, we do quite a bit of it. We pull tires to where it used to be you'd plug the catch can in, grab the can, and when it's full, shake it, and that was pretty much the extent of your job. And now it's got a little more busy, which I like, because it just gives me an added role, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think when the new car came out, I heard a lot about how important it was for the catch can man to have reach. Is that correct? I mean, because you have, it's a longer way from the back now. Is that correct?
Well, with the wing, yeah. The wing was up above the deck lid, so it was definitely an advantage to be tall and have a reach. And I mean, that kind of played into my hand, you know. So it helped me. Now we went back to the spoiler, but the adjustments we make are, NASCAR changed the rule a couple of years ago about the right rear tire. We used to just, changer would knock the lugs off and roll that tire to pit wall. Well, they had some tires get away, so now it has to be basically carried back to the wall by our carrier. So he used to make the adjustments. Well, it's a lot on him to make adjustments, carry the tire back. So we started doing that as catch can guys.
Okay, that makes sense. Dale Jr. Fan 50 is asking, does the 88 team wear any sort of cooling vests underneath the fire suits to prevent heat exhaustion?
It's kind of a personal preference. I mean, we wear the Adidas, I think it's called Climate Wear or Climate Wear. They provide them for us, and as gas men, we have to wear like a fire retardant material, and it's pretty hot, but I don't think it really helps on the on the heat or the dehydration or anything. But it's just a necessary evil. You get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it's got to be one of the toughest parts of the job. Just, I mean, Indy, even for me last week, was just walking around. I mean, kind of brutal. So I don't imagine for you with full equipment on. I mean, just it's got to be rough.
Right. Yeah, you get used to it. When it first starts getting hot, you know, in May and June, it takes a while. I mean, I've lost 7-8 pounds before during a race, just I guess of water weight and just sweating. But yeah, Indy's always bad too, because with the stands on both sides of pit road, it just seems like there's not a lot of airflow on pit road. Yeah. So yeah, that's always a tough one for me.
ERV Mary has another question, and she's asking, when the car gets torn up during the race, as did at Indy, what are your responsibilities? Well,
I put the bodies on the cars during the week, so I've got some knowledge on how to fix a car. Fortunately for our team, all the guys on our crew are pretty good at that. But normally I work on the back of the car just because that's where I'm at on a normal pit stop. And we have like our front carrier, Ben Fishbeck, he's a fabricator, so he'll work on the front. David Bryan, our car chief, is a good fabricator. He'll basically go where any of the worst damage is, but you just kind of, it's one of those deals where you just kind of see what's needed and jump in there and do whatever you can. It's kind of a little chaotic, and no crash is ever the same. That's the bad thing. You can't really sit down and script how we're going to do it. Yeah. But we do have certain guys that go to the front, certain guys that go to the back, and I normally stay in the back.
So it's from what you're saying, it's kind of hard to plan as far as like, all right, you know, if we hit the wall here, you know, you can't really, you know, front end damage. I mean, you can say general areas where you're going to go, but you don't. It's hard to have specifics. Is basically
right. I mean, you know what to do, and the crew chief, like Lance, he's really good. Like at Indy, I mean, he's standing on the box and he can see, and you know, he's reminding us, hey, cut that fender band off, or do this or do that. And that's another thing. Like early in the race, you don't. At certain tracks, you don't want to cut pieces off just because of the aero. You know, it'll ruin you if you go back out. But it was so close to the end of the race, we just needed to cut it off and make laps, finish the race. But places like Martinsville, you know, you'll just cut it off because aero's not that big of a deal.
Right. You mentioned earlier that you kind of like some of the short tracks, but they're difficult pit road wise. Brandon Barber is asking, what tracks do you most look forward to and why?
Bristol. I mean,
even though it's hard, you just like going there.
Oh man, it's awesome. I mean, when you got that many people packed in there, and there's action everywhere you look. I mean, you don't have to look far for there to be, you know, 2 wide race and 3 wide race and people getting into each other. You know, fenders flying off and bumpers flying. I mean, it's a cool race. I mean, it's from start to finish, it's my favorite race.
Cool.
Now, I like to go to Vegas, but that don't have anything to do with the track.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You can count me in on that one. Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you, Junior Nation, for all the awesome questions. And be sure to come back to ampup88.com next week. We'll have Steve Crisp here. He's technically, his title is Director of Hendrick Performance Group, but he also has really some longtime ties to the whole Earnhardt family. So he'll be able to share some stories, and that's at 12:30 on August 4th, next Wednesday. So again, thanks for joining us on ampup88.com, where you guys come to amp up for the race every week, and thank you, Jason.
Thank you.